First thing I would like to share about recovery and addiction: don't ever judge someone with an addiction. Addiction can reach to anyone. It can reach to the businessman. It can reach to the homeless person. It is probably a lot of the reasons why you may find a homeless person. Whenever you see someone's life riddled with failure, riddled with just nonstop, just train wreck after train wreck after train wreck in their lives, uh, most likely, you will find some sort of addiction there. Most likely. I'd be surprised if you didn't. Addiction has a way of, well, according to step one of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous or any type of addiction recovery program, is usually whatever is addicting you, whatever is controlling you, has made your life unmanageable. So if you see someone's life completely unmanageable, usually somewhere there's an addiction that lies there. So my advice to anybody who knows someone in addiction: don't judge them. We are all probably just a few really poor decisions away from being jobless, homeless, to being arrested, to be incarcerated. I mean, if you think about it, just 4 or 5 really bad decisions can really take your life and change it forever. So don't judge anybody. They're dealing with something that is totally kicking their butt and making their lives miserable, and they have no way to get their arms around it and get help. Most people that do struggle with an addiction struggle with asking for help. They struggle with finding the help that they need. And so when you feel powerless for the answer, or to find an answer, or to get an answer, most likely you will stay exactly where you are. And that type of defeatism will actually, you guessed it, feed right into whatever they're addicted in. It just makes you feel like a loser, and that even when you're reaching out for an answer, it's out of reach and unattainable. And so you will feel defeated, and you will most likely repeat those cycles of defeat. But hopefully we're going to share some stuff. It may not be news to some of you. To some of you it may. To some of you it may just be refreshing to hear the reinforcement that there is absolutely 1000% hope, and the answers are absolutely attainable. I've got a lot of friends in recovery, and they will absolutely attest. Their stories are a whole lot worse than mine. They are awful, and yet they were able to turn it around and become extremely successful in life and in their families and in their marriages and in their careers. So it's there for you. And I remember when I was reaching out for answers, my life had become unmanageable. Years of addiction with alcohol, and with those type of addictions, it's fun at the very beginning. It's fun in the middle, and it's even a lot of fun kind of towards the end. But there is a point where whatever you're addicted to is slowly but surely going to swallow up everything that you care about and spit it out. It has to. It's the nature of addiction. It absolutely has to. That's what it was created to do. It's an evil created force. It's a force within itself, and it has to destroy you. It does so by getting in softly, cunningly, as the 12 steps says. It's a cunning. It's a cunning force. It has skill and wisdom behind it. And so it's never going to wake up one day to your first drink or your first hit or your first smoke or whatever it is that addiction is. Day one, it's never going to wake up and say, hey, I'm addiction, and I'm going to take your career and your home and your car and your family and your children. I'm going to take it all away, and you may not ever get it back even if you tried. Addiction will never say that to you day one. Who would be addicted to that? Who would welcome that? Right? I mean, it would never lay its cards out on day one like that. So with it being deception, it's going to be calculated, it's going to be skillful, and it's going to make you enjoy whatever it is you're addicted to. You're going to absolutely enjoy it. I can't remember what movie star said it, but he says drugs and alcohol absolutely do work. They absolutely do make you feel better. They absolutely do take your mind off your problems. They absolutely do help you wash your car faster, or it does help you get you motivated to hit the gym sometimes, depending on what you're using. So, but he said alcohol and drugs absolutely do work. They absolutely do work. But it comes with a heavy, heavy, heavy cost. It will cost you everything because eventually you've got to pay for that. You will have to pay for it. And so I remember just Googling and YouTubing, rehab centers and support groups and things like that. But more of a hospital-like situation was kind of what I was looking into. And they cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So it is like a private pay community, or not community, but facility, a building, a program where you would go. They cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And I mean, at the time, I did not have that money. And insurances do not cover some of those programs. So I remember reading that, and I remember looking into that, and I remember making one or two phone calls, and it was just thousands and thousands of dollars. And I was like, gosh, I mean, I guess I'll just keep using. I guess I'll just keep drinking. And I just almost felt like, I did try. So I guess since there's no answer, I'm just going to continue to use. I don't know what the answer is. And it took what we call in the recovery community, it took a rock bottom. And if you know somebody that's experiencing just the rock bottom experience of life, if they are just failing miserably at everything they are doing, and you care about them, maybe it's somebody in your family, maybe it's one of your friends or something, and everything within them is just turning to dust every time they touch it, and they've lost this and they've lost that and they've all lost that, and you kind of know that an addiction is the catalyst for some of this stuff, almost I want you to be kind of glad. I want you to be optimistic about that situation, because when the brain, when we create these experiences with drugs and alcohol, or whatever the addiction is, neuroplasticity is where those experiences are, it's almost like making a new path. It's a new path through the brain that we experience, and it's almost a new way of thinking. And those are not done overnight, nor are they healed or renewed overnight. It takes time to heal those etches, or these experiences that we burned in our mind through these behaviors and through these thought processes and experiences and addictions. So it takes, for a lot of people, it takes them to hit rock bottom in order to get that, what we call a moment of clarity, to where you almost literally just snap out of it for a minute or 30 minutes or an hour, whatever that little window is, and you stand back and you look at your life. And then and only then do you really have a chance in hell of reaching out for help, admitting you've got a problem, and doing something about it. So if you hear somebody hitting rock bottom, be optimistic. There could be some success around the corner for them, hopefully. We also say in the recovery community that your rock bottom could have a basement. Your rock bottom could have a basement. You will see people go through terrible traumatic experiences in life, and you would think, wow, this is where so-and-so is really just going to wake up and get their act together, and they don't. They just keep plowing away through their misery and their joblessness and their their addiction and their terrible relationships. And they just keep trotting ahead on the field of misery. For those folks, it may require a jail time. It may be a weekend in jail. It may be a week. It may be a month. It may be, and for some people, they may not ever get right. I think the small percentage never sees that, but I think most people hit enough, right? If there's enough people, what I believe, there's enough people praying. If there's enough people praying and that person hasn't burned out or drunk what little bit of common sense or free will they've got left, there is always hope. I believe there's always hope for everybody. Always, absolutely. Even to the very end of their breathing, even to the very last few moments of their existence, I believe that they can still cry out for help and make their way to God. Absolutely, I believe that. But sharing one of the steps, the very first steps of Alcoholics Anonymous or any type of recovery program is, quote, we admitted we are powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. And we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, to normalcy, to getting your life back together, to being able to pay bills on time, to being able to have a great job, to be able to be on time for that great job, to be able to eventually succeed at that job. for folks in recovery, for people that are dealing with addictions. These are even when you're a functional addict, okay? And I was for a long time. I had an office, dressing up, had lots of great skills, and was a part of a very, very big operation. And even though during the daytime hours, things were great, running all on 8 cylinders, in the night hours or after hours or on the weekends or whatever the case may be, I could see where, wow, whatever's going on here, this is not sanity. This is not normal. This is not living my best life. And for those of you that know, you can identify with that. Even though things may look good on the outside, if you are hibernating addiction and addictive behaviors, you cry out for sanity. And if you had a magic wand and you could press the reset button, you would get that back instantly. But you can't. There is hope. Reach out to your friends that you think is in recovery or might have been in recovery. Reach out to me. Send me a message. I'd like to hear your story. I'm going to point you in the direction of your local Alcoholics Anonymous group. I'm going to point you in the direction of some sort of recovery support program. Best thing about it, guys, those things are free. Those things are free. And if you went through a substance abuse recovery program and it costed you $10,000 a month and it helped, that was worth every penny of it. But for most people, they just don't have that. But I'm telling you what, check out your local, just Google your AA.org in your area, Alcoholics Anonymous. They got Narcotics Anonymous. They've got, unfortunately, there is, the spirit of addiction is just run rampant here in America. And most everywhere else. But so whatever ails you, there's an answer for it. So we're going to point you in that direction first. It's free. Okay, you can't beat that. It's local. And those are experts. When I started going to those meetings and I heard about just regular people, I'll never forget the story of a dear friend, now a friend of mine, but it was my first night there to one of these support meetings. And he says he was up to his ankles in beer cans and he had money to pay his bills and just didn't. He didn't, because he didn't have the care or the wherewithal. And I was like, man, I can identify with that. How do you get that bad? You just get that bad 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, one summer at a time, 1 year from a time. Next thing you know, whatever ails you has just swallowed up your whole life. So we will definitely point you in the direction of some sort of recovery group in your area. There is hope. Start with there. If you've got a church you used to go to or a church you drive by to all the time, it wouldn't hurt to reach out to that local pastor. They offer usually counseling, again, free, no charge. I would address it with those 2 areas, spiritually and in some sort of recovery community. Do both. Both are going to address it from a very different view, but it's both going to be helpful. And if your life is unmanageable, if your life is ate up with some addiction, you're going to need all the help you're going to get. So take both and take it while it's available to you. Even if you just want to warm up to the idea of stopping, just start there. You've got to start somewhere. Surely you're just not just going to give up and quit and let it eat you up, because you're going to ruin your family's memory of you for the rest of your life if that happens. Okay, so just find some sort of reason. Find some sort of reason to do it and just get your feet wet with it and just start reaching out for a little bit of help. Talk to a couple people and just get it off your chest. It's amazing when we shine light into darkness, what that does. It's very liberating. So just do it. So anyway, lots of more content, as they say, about recovery. I know this is helpful to somebody, to encourage those that are in recovery or to encourage those that are affected by it to start reaching out for some help. Have a great day. Talk to you next time.